We finally did it. Multiplayer Gaming Podcast has a Patreon you can join right now. You can now get exclusive access to our Discord server and see behind the scenes as we talk about the games you know and love, as well as uncover those gems you haven't heard of yet. You can have the chance to game with Josh, Paul, and I, and get sweet custom shirts, games, stickers, and more. Just go to multiplayersquad.com to sign up for the Patreon. Welcome to the Multiplayer Podcast, the video game podcast by gamers for gamers. I'm your host, Todd, and today we are talking about Star Wars Squadrons. Woo! Paul, you did not join in.
Yeah, I did not.
And I wrote that down as a note. It's coming back up.
I just looked at both of you silently judging you and your Star Wars singing.
If this was The Masked Singer, I might win.
It's true.
We are talking about the latest Star Wars game from EA, Star Wars Squadrons. It's an air combat fighter game. It has it all: TIE fighters, X-Wings, droids, dogfighting. If you're new to the Multiplayer Podcast, though, on today's episode, we will start with a brief overview of the game, a deep dive into some of the mechanics, then touch on some funny stories. We'll then jump in and see what the community thought of the game, play Love, Marry, or Murder, and then head to the leaderboard to close out the episode. Now, let me introduce our pilot from the Rebel Alliance, Red 5 himself, Paul.
Oh, Red 5? Can I be Mambo number 5 instead, Todd?
No.
Is that okay?
No, you're Red 5.
All right.
I don't think you get to choose. It has to be a red and then a number.
No, but I do think Squadrons should make one of them where you're Mambo number 1 through Mambo number 5.
All right, and then the veteran pilot from the Empire, Josh.
That's so true. I love the Empire.
It's unsettling.
My one dream would be to be a Grand Moff in the Empire.
Did you say Grand Mauve?
Oh my goodness, Todd. Moff.
I don't know what that means either.
Grand Moff Tarkin? They're like the guys that lead the Empire, man. It's like they're the Grand Moffs. I need better Star Wars nerd friends, man.
So Josh stands firmly with the Empire did nothing wrong. Is that what you're saying, Josh?
No, absolutely not. Those Jedi, those pesky Jedi.
Oh, jeez.
And their archaic rules and laws.
From my perspective, the Jedi are evil.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, what is Star Wars Squadron? Like, what type of game is it? What does it look like? How do you play it?
Oh, I'm excited. I just...
Paul.
You want me to talk about all of it?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So, Squadrons. You can wait your turn, Josh. So, yeah, Squadrons, Star Wars universe. You get to jump in one of your favorite Star Wars ships, and you get to battle it out in dogfighting. And you also get to engage in some ranked combat where you get to do some dogfighting along with a little bit of PvE combat. Very much a throwback. Anyone who played the old X-Wing versus TIE Fighter or any of the individual games from those series knows what you're getting into. It's 360-degree space combat. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
That's it. It sounds simple. Space combat, Star Wars. Show over.
Done.
Right.
And we're out. If you'd like to find more multiplayer podcast content, this took me a while. I want to talk about it. At the core of the game, you're in an airplane, you aim at someone else, you shoot. It's not too much beyond that, but there is a lot of nuance to this game in, like, the mechanics of actually flying and flipping around and like how you throttle and energy on the shields or weapons or all these things. And then there's also like a whole tech tree that you can equip to one of 4 ships on each side. So like there is a loadout you can build. There is like a team comp you can build. So it's weird because this game is very simple and very complex, and there's not a lot in between.
Yeah, it should be said this is 5v5 multiplayer. So they have 2 main modes, and you kind of touched on them. One is just pure dogfighting. You select which ship you want to fight with, and we can get into the ships in a little bit, and then you go into like a little lobby, and then nobody ever readies up when they're supposed to, so you wait the full like minute and 30 seconds until the blaring like horn starts sounding, and then everybody goes, "Oh yeah, I forgot to ready up," and then all of a sudden those last 2 people will ready up. So
it always queues with 3 to 4 seconds left on the countdown.
Yeah.
So you wait the full time, and then everyone will finally ready up then.
So 5v5, you cover dogfights, and then the other mode is like was it fleet battle? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, fleet battle.
And it's kind of a tug of war. Like you guys fight, and then one team gets to attack, the other team has to defend. Once that like round is over and like the attacking ship gets destroyed, then it flips, and then you're attacking and they're defending, and it goes back and forth until what are the outside ships called? The like cruisers? A, B, C, and D.
Yeah.
Like the Star Destroyer versus the MC-75 or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Right. So you have to destroy 2 of their, minor ships, and then you have to destroy their major ship, and then the first one to destroy all 3 on the opponent's side first wins.
Yeah.
Which that's the basic of it, but then it gets more complex on like what approach you guys have. There's 4 different types of ships, so you can have bombers and then support ships, and then kind of like more standard X-Wing or TIE fighters.
Klingon Bird of Prey, Starship Enterprise, they're all in there.
Oh my goodness.
Romulan Warbirds. The whole gamut is in this game.
I just see our Apple podcast rank just tanking as Paul talks there.
And your friend meter for me just going down.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so not only does like your team comp matter, but also there are different critical elements on their main ship that you can take down. So you can take down their shields, you can take down their navigation and their like
targeting system.
Yeah.
It'll expose the weak points on their ship, so that way you can destroy it quicker, things like that.
Right. So like their strategy for like, all right, let's take out their weapon system first, so then, their main ship can't attack us for a little bit, and then we can get some more damage, or take out their shields so we can do burst damage and like let our bombers in. There's so much nuance and like subtlety to this game that took me longer than I would like to admit to like dive in and figure it out.
It's a fairly long learning curve in the beginning. I think if you have a history of playing air combat games, whether it be in space or just in the air, then the piloting mechanics will probably come somewhat naturally. But even so, in this game, just choosing the different vehicle or the different ship types and then changing your loadout within the ship, it definitely takes a fair amount of experimenting. Like, what ship is going to work best for my skill set? When should I switch ships? How do I want to spend my skill points to have the best loadout for my play style? And it does take an awful lot of tinkering. And one thing that the game does well is that they throw you into the single player campaign to kind of let you learn the game. Then they only let you do dogfighting to get down those basics. And then once you level up to level 5, then it unlocks the fleet battles. So they don't let you jump right into the ranked combat. You do have to work your way up to it.
Yeah, that's something too, is that an easy way to think about this is the dogfighting, which is like your quick play, just very simple. It's, dogfight. That's it. Get kills first.
It's deathmatch.
Yeah, first team to 30 kills wins, and that's it. And so that's like your quick play format that you can just kind of kick back and chill and, try out different builds on your ships and stuff like that. The fleet battles is your highly competitive ranked mode where team strategy plays a much larger part. Composition plays a large part. Ship choice plays a large part. So that's like that's the meat, kind of the meat and bones mode of the game itself. But dogfighting's just kind of fun sometimes, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like fleet battles is what this game is built around. But the dogfighting mode, sometimes it's just nice to just go in there and fly around and just kill ships and not have to worry about any of that other stuff. So it is that nice balance between the two.
It almost feels like Battlefield. There's times when you push and there's more times when like you stand back or like defend different objectives, or like it's more objective based, or the battlefield's moving around. I remember I was playing with you, Josh, and you were so annoyed because our two teammates were just flying around the middle, killing people. And it's like, you're not doing the objective. Like, you're not helping by just killing people. We need you to kill the people around our ship that are hurting us.
Right. Yeah, if you want a dogfight, play dogfight mode. There is dogfighting in fleet battles. That is a part of it, but that's like playing Overwatch and never pushing the objective. Or it's like you actually have a goal here, and it's not to just dogfight. There is other stuff going on, and if you're not playing the objectives, it can get very frustrating for the other people on your team that actually are trying to play the objectives at that point.
All right. Josh, I'm saying I'm sorry up front.
Ooh, wait. Is this something I don't know that you did, or is this something that I know you did?
No, this is a multiplayer game, but it's like you're playing a game next to friends, not playing a game with friends.
You are completely wrong.
No.
You should apologize, because
No.
I'm going to get into some of the strategy in a little while, and then you are going to be like, okay, I'm totally wrong.
No, I know, like, pinging enemies, trying to swarm on them, and all of that. It's so dang hard to see what your friends are doing because everyone's flying everywhere. It's chaos. Like, I can barely track the person who I have pinged and follow them, let alone, like, where is Josh and where is Paul when I'm flying around, twisting, turning, avoiding obstacles, trying to stay on one guy. I have a guy on my back trying to shoot me. I get that you guys are around me and I'm saying, like, hey, I need help, but I don't know where you guys are in that scenario. And I think this game is very, let me play a multiplayer game, like, by myself with people.
Todd is not 100% wrong.
See,
but he's not 100% right.
Josh.
He's not 100% right either. Here's the thing. When we play a game like Overwatch, you can strategize in a million ways, right? You can pick counters to the other team. We can say, we're going to fight at this choke. Genji, you're going to hop over, and then we're going to use this ult, and here's the exact strategy. When you play Squadrons, everyone is thrown into a 360-degree battle, and if someone's on your tail, you have to try to lose them, and you can't hide anywhere. There's really not really any ability to flank. It's more so generalized strategy. Okay, we need to have this group make up with maybe 2 TIE fighters, and we want 2 interceptors and 1 support. And you can have some general strategy, but there is not nearly the level of strategy in most other multiplayer games. And I think that's what Todd's trying to say.
I'm going to say 2 words to both of you.
Star Wars.
No.
Get good.
No,
Thank
that's
you. No, that's nothing to do with being good.
It has everything to do.
Let me ask you a question. In this game, there is no text chatting, so you cannot type to anyone. How often do you hear people on the comms?
I have my voice chat turned off completely. But the game's been out for like less than a week.
All right.
How can you say there's strategy when no one's communicating?
All right, I will tell you this. All right, well, this is an aside because we have to get back into some of the stuff in the game. But Code Red, shout out to Code Red. You guys both know who that is. Code Red picked up the game the other day. Code Red and I have been playing a pretty good bit together. We played 4 fleet battle matches, so we played a pretty long session of playing, and
those are about 30 minutes each.
Yeah, we won all but one of those. There was so much communication between Code Red and myself, and strategizing, swapping of ships depending on where we were at, learning how to ping people, learning how to go assist your wingman or to go get a fighter off of your support ship, swapping loadouts so that we could take out the cruisers that were wrecking our capital ships. Flanking. You said there's no flanking. There is absolutely flanking, because we would go down and low and to the left under these like floating asteroids so that we could then boost up to the capital ship, drop our bombs, because we were both going bomber, drop our bombs on that, and then we would fly back, dock with the capital ships, swap out to dogfighting ships at that point. There's so much strategy, but you guys think it's just space combat.
You're playing incompetent foes then, because there's only 5 opponents and you press a key and it cycles through them. There is no way to hide. Everyone knows exactly where all the enemies are. There is no chance you should be able to flank. It shows on
the map. When you die,
you have radar.
It shows you on the map. Yeah. And also, all right. So I was talking to one of our friends, Jimmy the Kid, about this, and we were talking about the game, and he was
he doesn't have the game.
Figuring out. He played it.
No, he didn't. He's never played.
I don't know. I was talking to him about the game.
All
Get
right,
out of
there
here.
you go. Don't you see? You guys are automatic. You're already trying to slander it, and I'm telling you, you're both wrong.
No. All right. So this is what we're talking about. Both of us love Rocket League. Big fans of Rocket League. One of the things that makes Rocket League fun is, even if one of my teammates does like a really cool move and hits it off the hood of his car, and it like flicks up and does a loop-de-loop and then it goes in the goal, like I lose my mind, because that was the greatest thing I've ever seen, and he's on my team, and that was awesome and epic. I will never have that moment in this game. I might have like a cool flip around drift turn where I shoot a rocket and it hits a guy, and I'm like, did everyone see that? And then you guys are like, huh? What? No, someone's on my tail.
You know what?
That's
Josh,
what I hate.
Josh, that's exactly what I was going to say. You will never have a story about Squadrons the way you can tell a story in Overwatch or Rocket League or any of these other games, because in Squadrons, it doesn't lend to that kind of gameplay. You can set general strategy, and you have to rely on one another to have good gaming IQ and good gaming sense. And when we're in Discord, yes, we talk to each other and we can strategize somewhat. But when you play online, no one uses the comms. You can't type. That strategy does not innately exist in this game, at least as of right now. Everyone redeploys immediately. No one groups up in this game. Everyone immediately redeploys and goes and fights.
Do you guys remember when Overwatch came out and how people played that game in the first week? This game has only been out 1 week. I mean, as of the release of this recording, it'll have been out for a week and 3 days.
Right. And I'm not saying this is a bad game at all. All I'm saying is this is a multiplayer game that is light on the co-op.
See, 100%. I disagree.
It is almost non-existent.
I disagree with you guys 1,000%.
This game is as inclusive on the co-op as it is on PvEVP.
Yes.
All right. There is no PvEVP. I will agree with you there.
Well, no. There's AI bot TIE fighters that are E in the PvEVP.
Josh, if someone fires a rocket at you, your strategy is temporarily out the window. All you can do is try to evade the rocket, right?
Or no, because you can countermeasure the rocket too if you want. I'll say this. I played a dogfighting match yesterday where they had 2 A-Wings and a support ship and then a couple other ships. I don't even know what the other 2 were. And they were a very coordinated team, and that support ship was the bait. Every time that I attacked that support ship, he would ping me as attacking him, and then those 2 A-Wings would fly in immediately and just absolutely wreck me, dude, over and over again, because the support ships are tanky. And so while you're sitting there slowly flying, trying to blow up the support ship, those two speedy A-wings are moving to intercept you and wrecking you. That right there is team play. That is strategy.
But there's all right. So there's strategy, but
yeah, we're not arguing. You can't ping.
You don't have a shared experience in the game. Like you're not constantly like
flying in the Mighty Duck formation and pulling off plays together. That doesn't really happen.
It's organized chaos where it's like someone will get a ping and then it's like, let me stop what I'm doing, look to see what's going on. Okay, I can help out. Versus like a formulated play or like reacting to what other people are doing. And like even with that, the only strategy or reaction or anything is the ping system. There is so much space with having left, right, front, back, and now up and down. And it's not like a little bit of up and down. It's a lot of up and down where there is so much space in this game. I don't know. Okay. I don't know what's going on without the ping system. And evidence of this is I didn't know you could change what you could ping. This is awful. I didn't know you could change what you could ping, and I accidentally hit a button and changed my ping to allies. So now whenever I locked on to someone, it was an ally. So I was hitting the like rotate locked on button, and it wasn't going to enemies, and I was so frustrated. But I didn't know what was going on. And, you know, granted, this was like early on. This was like the first or second night playing this game. But then, like, trying to chase people around the map without pinging them is almost impossible.
Yeah.
So now, like, it's impossible to know where your allies are because they're not pinged 100% of the time.
You can actually set it to ping just your allies. There's a targeting wheel that you can bring up so that you can target capital ship subsystems.
You would have to get rid of your ping on the person you're chasing to ping an ally.
Yes,
so it's only really useful if you are the support.
Yeah. I mean, people are figuring out, I'm going to go back to the whole like working as a teammate thing, because again, if you have a guy that you're working with, there is so many things that you can do. You have one ship that can disable a guy. They have ion cannons and can drop the shields, disable them. They completely lose all power and they just kind of float. You have your other guy that swoops in and kills him. You've got a guy where you're a Y-wing or a bomber, and so you're slow, and you get a super fast A-wing on you. You target the guy that's attacking you and then ping him and say, hey man, I need a peel. That guy swoops in, he starts tailing that guy breaks off, and now, your buddy is now chasing the guy that was just chasing you. That frees you up to go take out their support ship. I mean, there's all kinds of things you can do. Is it chaotic? Absolutely. I'm not saying that this is a slow-paced game. In your Rocket League comparison, I can't think of any game out there that feels as good as scoring a goal in Rocket League. Like, honestly, so that is like an amazing thing to do.
But that's what Todd's saying, though. Todd is saying that the highs of strategizing and scoring a goal in Rocket League are higher than anything you can do in Squadrons.
It's a different game, though.
No, but it's all the highs are muted and the lows are abysmal. Like
I guess if you're bad, they are, but
but so they're like the highs in Squadrons is getting a few kills, and then you're like, oh yeah, like, oh, I'm on a streak. That's pretty cool. The lows are they're killing me in the spawn. I don't know why we're playing this game. Let's just leave. It's rage quitting. So like
that's every game though. That's Overwatch. Yeah, that's Rocket League. That's
I would rather play Definitive Edition.
Okay, yeah.
Don't leave that out. I would never play just Age of Empires 2 or Age of Empires 2 HD or Age of Empires 2 HD Remastered. Come on.
Goodness.
I don't think that last one is a real thing.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But the remaster of the remaster
anyway,
of the remaster.
We can agree to disagree.
Definitive.
I have played a lot more than you guys have. and maybe I'm just a little bit further along in the like wrapping my head around the strategy.
No.
So you guys can both shake your heads.
That's not
because
true.
You don't
That's
know.
not true. That's just simply not true.
Ask Code Red.
Does Overwatch have at least twice as much strategizing as Squadrons?
I mean, it's been out for how many years?
That doesn't
You're
matter.
comparing apples to oranges, though.
The apple is 10 times as big as the orange.
We're comparing oranges to tangerines, Josh. They're not that far apart.
Well, Overwatch, that's a pretty far apart game.
Here's all I'll say. I would say 90% of the strategy is choosing your ship and pinging something. That's the majority of the strategizing. I find that to be a little lackluster. That's not to say I don't like the game, because what's funny is when I made a list of pros and cons, I had way more cons, but I still have a blast playing this game. Right. I just do not find it to be high in the strategy department. It's a little two-dimensional, which is ironic being a 360-degree game.
I don't think this game will ever be an esport. Like, you know, I don't think it's going to be that.
That's all I mean.
Yeah, and I agree with you there. I look at it like you guys are saying there's not teamwork and there's not strategy involved. And
no, there's some.
There's strategy.
There's this much.
All right, well, let's move on because there's lots more we got to cover. We'll let the people decide.
We're the people who decide, Josh.
Oh.
That's why we're here.
I want to talk about like how cool the ships and stuff are too, though.
Okay, all right. We'll move on. And
all four of them.
I want to end 8, Paul.
Yes, 8, Paul.
I want to end this segment in a nice ribbon where it's I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm not saying it's a bad multiplayer game. I'm saying it's a different multiplayer experience. We covered on other podcasts that I only really play multiplayer games because I love sharing that experience and playing with other people. Mm-hmm. And this game almost feels like a single player game because there is strategy, there is all of that stuff, but I'm not having that like epic shared experience. Oh, I saw your Hanzo 360 no scope like while you were jumping off a thing and like that was sick. Like it's just like, oh, like I pinged someone and you got him for me, thank you. All right, but moving on.
Todd, I have one saying for you though. In the wise words of Yoda.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope.
No. That is why you fail. That was a pretty good Yoda. That came out better than I thought.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That's all right.
What?
Something I find very interesting in this game. The two sides have different spacecrafts that are relatively spec'd the same, but they're different. Like at the core, like the TIE Fighter and the X-Wing or the A-Wing, the bombers, like they all function and operate different.
They're very similar, but they are a little different. So they have different shape cockpits, so you have different field of view. Also, when you play a TIE Fighter, one thing we didn't even talk about at all is when you change your different systems. So whether you're going to boost your engines or your weapons or your shields, the TIE Fighter will switch between them much quicker than the X-Wing, but they are very much comparable. They're like similar classes, but a little bit different. And they have the same options for the loadout. So when you go into the loadout system, you can spec your X-Wing the same way that you do your TIE Fighter. So it does make it that you're not playing a completely different ship. It does have minor differences, but it still operates within the same realm.
Yeah, they're like classes. They are definitely classes of ships, and there are some handling differences, I guess, you know, between like how a TIE Fighter and an X-Wing, because they're in the same like all around category. The Y-Wing and the bomber are real similar. There's not a lot of differences in those two. And then you've got the TIE Interceptor and the A-Wing, which are your super speedy, very low armor and low shield. So if you can shoot one of them a few times, they're going to die pretty quick, but they're just very hard to shoot because they're so fast. There's a few differences in those in how they handle, but again, not a whole lot. And then you have support ships, which honestly, I think the support ships in this game is a super cool idea. I really want to be able to be good with the support ship because I think it's just a really neat way to play like a space combat game with a support ship where you can actually heal other ships. You can mark targets to where they can't use countermeasures against missiles, and you lock on faster to them and they take more damage. You can stealth your squad so they don't show up on radar, so that when you do want to try to go assault that capital ship, people can't see where you are. But the two ships on both sides play almost exactly the same in that category too.
And I will say the support ships are a very cool idea. I thought that was the best thing that they brought to this game, how the support ships function. I thought that was very neat.
Yeah. And I want, I don't know why, but I want to be good with the support ships. But if you don't have a good team, playing one of those is absolutely infuriating because they're slow and they're big, which means they make really good targets. And then you get those speedy little A-wings that are flying around and they get on your tail, and there is absolutely no way you can shake that A-wing. And if you don't have a teammate that can come trying to get him, you die. You die instantly, and there's nothing you can do. And so it can
Same
be
way
very,
you target the healer in every game, right? And in this case, you are the slowest, biggest target. So if you play support, you immediately have huge crosshairs on you.
Yeah. Do you find that one side is better or worse than the other?
Well, I think the only major difference, and I know Josh and I had the same experience, is that it was so much easier playing as the rebels, because when you would go against the Star Destroyer, you just innately know these big domes on the top regen shields, so let's go hit them, because you see that in the movies. Whereas when you play as the Empire and you start going against this giant ship, you don't really know what to attack. And the game does teach you, you do a little tutorial on fleet battles and they tell you, but once you're actually in the heat of the battle, you don't totally remember what does what. So I thought it was easier in the beginning to play as the rebels.
Yeah.
But ultimately it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's very balanced.
Right, and it's kind of interesting. They'll let you queue as one side or the other, and then they give you a little bit more XP if you just queue as either or.
And then the customization for the ships, I think, is a pretty neat system too.
Right, and there's a different, there's cosmetic customization, which is kind of cool. There's some things you can do to the ship.
A severed C-3PO head?
Yeah.
hanging next to your windshield. That's in the game. That did make me laugh out loud.
It's like the fuzzy dice, but it's a C-3PO head instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there's modifications you can make to the ship that improves different stats.
Well, and they're always a trade-off. It's not just a straight upgrade. So you might add where you have more hull HP, but it's going to lower your maneuverability and your acceleration. So the builds aren't necessarily where you just improve your ship, but it does let you tailor it to how you like to play. So, for example, one of the loadouts lets you add a giant shield in front of you that can soak up a ton of damage, and maybe that's an ability you would like to have on your ship, whereas maybe someone else doesn't really care and they would rather have more speed. So it does let you tailor it, but it's always a trade-off. You'll gain some stats and lose others.
Yeah. Yeah, I like there's the engines, so you can upgrade. The things you can change and upgrade are the guns that you have on your ship. So they'll have guns that shoot in a burst format, or that you can charge up and then you let go to release them, and so they kind of overcharge. Or you can get a rapid fire that doesn't do quite as much damage, but you can fire a lot faster. Or one is guided, so it's almost like a Gatling gun, but it's much more forgiving, like an aim assist almost, but it does half the damage of the other guns and that kind of stuff. And then you have 2 accessory slots, and there's a bunch of different stuff that you can use for those, whether it's missiles or mines or repair bots to repair your hull, or, if you're support, there's all kinds of the crazy stuff we mentioned there. If you're a bomber, you can get ion bombs or proton torpedoes and that kind of stuff too. So you have 2 slots for that. You've got a hull, so you can upgrade your hull to do different things, make your ship lighter and faster, slower and tankier, that kind of thing. Shields, which are really neat. There's all kinds of different stuff that you can do with your shields. And like you said, there's always a trade-off there. To me, the engines almost make more of a difference than anything else, because some of the engines will help you accelerate and decelerate super fast, but you can't turn as quickly. or you can get engines that'll really let you turn on a dime, but then you lose a lot of that acceleration and stuff too. So I like that system. I think there's a ton of customization that you can do, and you can deck your ships out to fit like your play style.
Yes, although you are somewhat locked into the role of that ship. So if you pick the TIE Fighter or the X-Wing, you're going to kind of be relied on for more dogfighting, although Definitely. You are a little bit of jack of all trades. If you're a bomber, you're not hanging out in the middle dogfighting. You're doing your best to try to get to the enemy AI-controlled ship and bomb the crap out of it. So you are a little bit pigeonholed into it, and I think that's part of what reduces the longevity of the game, is that, at least as of right now, there are 4 ships. You can customize them, but you're still doing the same basic role. And I find that even as you switch between the 4, it can start to feel repetitive fairly quickly. I'm curious to see if I know they haven't announced any DLC or anything for this game, but one thing that I really hope that they do consider adding are additional game modes and or additional ships, and I think that would really help wanting to play long term.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of funny. All 3 of us played this game differently. So Josh, you were on HOTUS, so had a flight stick and all the shenanigans.
Yeah, I actually bought it just for this game. That's how excited I was for this game.
How was it?
I started off with the controller, and I instantly was like, I don't want to learn, like, I don't want to develop the muscle memory on a controller and then go and get like a flight stick and have to relearn it all. And as soon as I started playing and I realized this is like the X-Wing versus TIE Fighter games that I was really hoping it would be, I just went out and bought a flight stick. Because I was like, 2 things. I get 30 days to return the flight stick. This game winds up sucking, right? And I'll know in 30 days whether or not, it is. But in the meantime, like, I want to be able to feel like I'm flying. I want to go back to those X-Wing versus TIE Fighter days. And I had a joystick back then.
Yeah, and then I played on controller, which the default control scheme is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, they have it so your roll is on your left stick and your pitch, so up and down, is on your right stick. And I don't know why, but it messed up my brain. Like, and then I had to switch one setting over, and I think it was like pilot or aviator or something like that. And it just felt way more natural, and I could play like a lot easier because I was struggling until I switched it over. And then Paul, you were on mouse and keyboard, I believe.
I play with a Guitar Hero guitar, and it works like a charm. Yeah, I play with keyboard and mouse. So I stand by the same thing that I've said with other games. I don't want to pull a controller out and plug it in. I don't want to have to worry about a flight stick. I want to use what's already on my table. So I go mouse and keyboard, and I love it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. Weird. Why not? I learned on mouse and keyboard. It flies really well. I actually think I'm pretty good in Squadrons. Like, I know I'm not a great Overwatch player. I think I might be the best dogfighter in this game, and I love playing
Those bold words,
fights.
Paul. 1v1 me, bro.
1v1 me, bro. Anytime. And I like having the precise control of a mouse. I feel like it would take me so long to get good with sensitivity on any kind of joystick or flight stick. I don't think it would be worth it. I like using the mouse.
I will say this. If they let you have a reticle on screen that you could move around, like to control where your lasers were firing, that would make all the difference in the world.
Instead of just firing straight down the center of the screen.
Right, yeah, which you can't do even with mouse and keyboard, but that would make a big difference.
All right, I think we're about ready to move on. Do you guys have any last thoughts about the game?
Do I have another 30 minutes? Or we didn't even talk about power management. We didn't talk about drifting. We didn't talk about all this really cool stuff, but
I would just add, since we don't really have the time to dive into all those specifics, the nostalgia was real. Like, hopping back into this game, anyone who played X-Wing games, TIE Fighter games, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, the nostalgia was real. And for a lot of people, I think that alone makes it worth playing. It doesn't matter if it has longevity. It's still worth it to relive those childhood memories.
Yeah, I'll second that. They did an amazing job of recreating those games and the feel of those games, but bringing it into like the 21st century.
Well, and there's not a lot of games that really compete with it that are modern.
Oh, there's none, really.
None, yeah.
So it's in a category of its own. And like if this even sounds interesting to you, it will fulfill like that itch of playing a dogfighting game. All right, Paul. We've talked enough. What did the community think about this game?
Even we're bored of hearing each other talk. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm bored of hearing Josh talk.
So for the 4 of you that are still with us, let's go ahead and read some community reviews. So the first one I have here is a positive review. Almost as good as Star Fox 64.
Oh my goodness.
No, it's not.
What?
The campaign
It's not
in
as good.
Star Fox is amazing.
I hate both you guys so much. How did I get roped into doing a podcast with you two?
Are you hating on Star Fox? Do a barrel roll. You know what's hard to do in this game? A barrel roll.
No, not on keyboard. Not on keyboard.
You can do a barrel roll so easy.
I hold A or D, and that's it. Yeah, anyway, that was a positive review. Clearly tongue-in-cheek. I enjoyed it. Next review is a positive review. I'm a simple man. I hear a TIE fighter I like.
There you go.
Yeah, and this game has very good sound. I will say the sound is great. The graphics are great. I know a lot of people have issues with some of the technical side with controls and whatnot, but I find all of that to be very smooth. This game, I feel, is a very high level quality.
Yeah, we didn't even touch on that. The graphics are amazing. The sound is amazing. Yeah, I mean, it looks and sounds really, really good. And there's full crossplay. Xbox, PlayStation 4, and PC.
Absolutely. And stepping on the next review. So, Josh, you had good instincts.
Do you like that segue?
I love it, even though you didn't even know this was coming. Next review, $40, crossplay, no microtransactions, mechanics to filter casuals, fun multiplayer. Pretty good.
That is true. No microtransactions
for an
EA game.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Good on you, EA.
Yeah, they had to eat a lot of crow after Battlefront 2, so I think they knew better this time around.
There's going to be ads after you kill someone.
Oh, yeah.
They're just on the other cockpits, like the visors.
Ads for Madden,
right?
The newest FIFA, all the other EA games. All right, Todd, this one's for you. You're going to like this one. Positive review. Now, this is pod racing. Yeah,
man.
I wasn't surprised to see that, but it still made me chuckle.
I forgot about it. They're remaking pod racing for Switch. I don't think it's come out yet.
If it has, I had no idea, so I'm guessing it hasn't come out yet, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I love pod racing. Squadrons is fine.
Yeah. And it is not pod racing, just for the record. All right, and then the last review is a little bit longer, but it's the only negative one that I pulled. I thought it was a fair counterpoint to the other reviews. It feels like the designers of this game played the old titles and borrowed the micromanaged tasks from them, namely power distribution, but they failed to capture the true excitement those old titles brought to the table. You spam missiles and hold down the fire button until you die, and then you respawn. There are no careful calculations. Should I use these torpedoes on those ties? What if a support ship comes in and I need to blow that away instead? I should make my shots count just in case I need to push some of this new weapon power into my shields to avoid losing the mission entirely. Instead, it's just dumb, mindless pew-pew. This one is for kids with short attention spans. All right, I think that's a little harsh, but I do understand the point that he's trying to make. You don't have to worry about resources like your missiles as much. You can continually resupply, and half the time you die before you use them all anyway.
I get what he's saying 100%. Like, honestly, even though it's a negative review, and I've been, joking with you guys, I get what he's saying, but the difference is that aspect is when you're playing the single player, like older X-Wing TIE fighter games. And I remember that exactly. Like, man, I only have 3 missiles left and I need these to take out. Like, what if I come across an interceptor that's too fast for me to really like shoot down? And I still remember those moments, and that's great. But this game is not geared towards that experience.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was hoping for a little more of the PvE side. Like, one of the very first things I wrote down for my notes of the game is that maybe I just over-expected the PvE content. I was hoping there would be something similar to trench runs, where you are shooting things, but also ducking over and under obstacles. And I thought there would be a little bit more of that instead of shooting at a ship that's so big you can't miss it, and it doesn't really do anything other than shoot at you. So I was kind of hoping for a little more in that regard, because that was something that in the old Star Wars games was so memorable and so fun. I feel like this game doesn't quite provide those thrills. It's more the PvP thrills as opposed to taking down the giant ship. I don't really feel a whole lot of joy taking down the Star Destroyer at the end.
None of us have finished the single player, but I did see a little snippet where you are inside something, and so you are actually flying through like a tunnel. You know?
And they have that in the very beginning. Yeah, like you're going through trenches and planets. I mean, you get to that within an hour of the single player, but I was hoping for some of that built in with the multiplayer. Yeah. They do have that on one map. Like, I guess one other thing we didn't mention is that there are different maps, and I think by far the coolest one is the one that has the giant structure, and so there are long tunnels to get into the middle. So you can fight in the middle, you can fight on your way in or out, or you can fight on the outside. And I think that's more fun than the other maps where there might be nothing, it's just open space, or it's just littered with hundreds of little asteroids. And so I do like when they got a little bit more inventive with the maps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so those are all the reviews I have on Steam. So what's your guys' guess for what percentage of reviews are positive by users on Steam?
Todd, you're the
I think
champ.
Todd won last, so
Yeah.
Todd gets to go
Did I?
first.
You did.
Yeah.
I win a lot. Oh, I'm going with 87.
Okay, 87 for Todd. What about you, Josh?
I am going to go lower because of the EA aspect. And I know how much people hate EA, even though this game is really good. I'm going to go 72.
I feel like that's a preposterous guess to go 72, but the actual is 73, and I had guessed 90. I assumed this would be super high.
This game deserves to be in the middle 90s, but I'm saying I saw, because there's a Squadrons Reddit on there, and people were talking about how please give an honest review of this game because people are review bombing it because of the EA aspect, I guess. And so I knew it was going to have...
cheated.
That's not a cheating. I didn't look up the score. I just
That's
knew
some
that
insider
people...
trading right there.
I mean, come on. All I knew was that people were review bombing it.
Yeah, I would say out of most of the negative reviews, it was over Controls or over EA as a company.
There's a new champion, boys.
All right, Josh, you get to introduce the new segment. Make it sexy.
Bum, 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 bum.
Is this sexy?
No, but it's about to be.
There's a lot of bass.
It's about to be.
Okay.
It's time for make love, marry, or murder.
That was a terrible Darth Vader.
That's not a very good Darth Vader.
I couldn't do Darth Vader and like the talking.
The breathing wasn't bad.
Huh?
The breathing wasn't bad, but
right.
yeah, the voice was a little off.
All right. Oh, I'll have to practice more.
But what's the segment, Josh?
It's Make Love, Marry, Murder. This is how we rank, or not rank the games, but this is how we rate the game. This is where we give our own opinions. We say, hey, this is how I feel about this game. We do not always agree, but it's an indication of how we personally feel a game is. And as your champion, as the Grand Moff of this group now, I'm gonna marry this game. You guys knew it was coming. This game to me, this is the arcade Rocket League type game where I will want to just hop into this game for 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or an hour. This is not a game that I will play for 4 hours straight. It's just not that kind of game. Honestly, it's more of an arcade type game. But I can easily see myself playing this game for months and months and months, if not, for the next year or so. Just hopping into matches, dogfighting, killing some rebels, and doing that stuff. So for me, I think there is a longevity there. It's a Mary all the way.
All right, Paul, you or I?
I'll go next. So this game in no way, shape, or form would be a Mary for me. I think this game is good for about 20 to 25 hours, and then I will be done with it. And I don't really see myself returning unless they add some very groundbreaking new content, like new game modes or something. So I would say make love. I do think it's fun. I think it is worth playing if you have been wanting to play some kind of air combat dogfighting style game. It is fun. When I made my list, I had 5 pros and 12 cons, but to me, the pro of just dogfighting is fun. That's really what it boils down to. So if you've got the $40 to spend, it's worth playing. If you're on a budget, maybe not, but just taking the money out of the equation, it's a make love.
All right. I'm going to go with make love. Different reasons for Paul, though. I'm glad we got the time we played with it. I probably, the rest of this week, next week, I'm probably not going to go back to it for a while. But what I think this game is perfectly situated for is we get bored with Overwatch. We get, really sad with Rust. We, aren't challenged with the cycle. Like, we find ourselves in a spot where we're like, man, what games do you guys want to play? And I don't know. Do you have this game? No. Do you have this game? No. All right, let's play Warzone. I don't have it installed. And then there's Squadrons. And I think Squadrons is going to be a perfect game 3, 4, 6 months, a year to just be like, yeah, it's not that big. Let it just stay on my hard drive. And then we come back to it occasionally over the next 6 months.
So it's a Ross and Rachel on again, off again situation for you.
It's a 3 divorce type of game.
Ross the divorce force.
All right. And then it comes to the question, is it worth the price? $40.
Yes.
Oh, that's a hard one. There are so many good free games like Warzone or $20 for Overwatch. I don't know.
I absolutely 100% at 20, even 25, 30, it gets iffy. $40, it's like you have to be very invested in this specific type of game. Like you have to have been wanting this game. Like you've already bought it if it's worth $40 for you.
I know 2 people that I have talked into buying this game that knew nothing about it, and both of them are loving it.
And they've both played about 5 hours.
So far. So far.
All of us loved it at 5 hours. At 10 hours...
But at that point, do you go like, this was worth the $40? Or do you go in hindsight 15 hours later and then go, man, maybe that wasn't worth the $40? Because right now, everybody's like, oh, I love it. This game's great.
I will say for me, I immediately was like, oh, this game is amazing. This is so much fun. And then it immediately dropped where I was like, oh, this game is pretty shallow. There's really not a whole lot to do. Then I really, really loved it from hours 5 to 10. And then after that, it was like, okay, I don't think this is going to get beyond 20, but it was still fun. So 40 is to me the very highest that I would ever pay. It's not a steal at 40, but it might be worth it for 40.
I think that's fair.
That was clear as mud, Paul.
Yep. I'll take it.
All right. I think it's time.
What were you typing there, Todd?
My new keyboard, I did it when I wasn't talking.
I was waiting for Todd to go to the leaderboard, and then I just hear clackety clack clack clack, and I'm like, "What are you writing an email to somebody?"
I had an old cheap. Is it mechanical? It
Got those cherry key switches.
But the keyboard's so cheap. It's hollow and it's loud. It's an echo chamber of clickiness. And it's awful. All right, let's go leaderboard. All right, we have Keep Talking at 15. I feel like this could be above this. Deep Rock Galactic 14, Raft 13, Far Cry.
I'm going to be overruled
12.
on this anyway.
I would not put it top 10. Would you put it top 10 if it were up to you, Josh?
No, I mean, here's the problem. We need to update our leaderboard again. Because some of these games we fall out of love with a little bit. Like, I know there's one game on there that I think all three of us are done with.
Rainbow Six Siege. I know, right?
No,
I know. It's the cycle.
I know. And then like Among Us is super fun right now, but I have to wonder, like, in a month and a half, is Among Us going to be, a top 10 game for us? I honestly, to be fair, my bias aside, I think it probably would fit at like number 11 for me, to try to be like a fair representation of what this game is.
You'd put it above No Man's Sky?
Yeah.
See, I would
go ahead.
All right.
I'm just go ahead.
One of us.
Go ahead.
No, we're at a red light.
So
no, you go. You go. Me, you. Okay.
Yeah.
I would put it at 15, below Deep Rock, because I think Deep Rock has more variety and like more playtime to it, even though like it is a game mode that, it's a shooter at its core, so it's not like as unique as this. But definitely a better play than Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes. So for me, it would be at 15.
Do you remember what Anakin said to Obi-Wan when he cut off his legs and he was
I
running?
hate you.
Yeah. I hate you! How dare you put it at 15, Todd?
We're not that far. You put Halo at 26.
Oh, fair point. Oops.
I'm pretty close to what Todd was thinking. I would put it just a couple spots lower. I would put it below Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. I would put it below A Way Out. And I would put it at 17, right above Payday 2 and Valorant, if it were me. So we got to compromise somewhere in the middle of all these. So we've got 11, 15, and 17. We all agree it's in the middle range on our leaderboard.
Yeah, we're not far off. I'm fine with just saying it's exactly where I put it, if everyone's gonna... I mean... It seems like 14 or 15. I mean, I'm fine putting this above Deep Rock, I guess.
I have a hard time putting it below Deep Rock Galactic.
I love Deep Rock. Rock and Stone.
I mean, I do like saying Rock and Stone, but
isn't it? It's fun. What's in Squadrons? You go, girl.
Yes. They constantly say that in this game. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I have more heartburn over putting Squadrons above A Way Out and Keep Talking, but that's fine. I'm a little lower on Deep Rock. I'd be fine putting it at 14, above Deep Rock, or even above Raft, but there's no way I would put it above Far Cry 5.
Put it above Raft. Yeah.
I didn't play Raft, so that's up to you guys. That was when I was on parental leave.
I'll let Paul decide.
Right below Raft.
I was about to say, I know he'll do the right thing, and then he just blurts out below Raft.
I really liked Raft.
Raft was fun.
Yeah, it's a fun game. So okay, so we'll clock it 14. Between Raft and Deep Rock Galactic. It's at number 14, right? Almost exactly right in the middle.
Let it be said that my integrity is more important than my love of Star Wars and this game.
I love Star Wars. I'm like in between sci-fi and fantasy. I am way more into sci-fi than I am fantasy. I love Star Wars, all the movies, like all the shows, some of the video games. Squadrons was good. It's just like we're not a Star Wars podcast. We're a multiplayer podcast.
Yeah, I love Star Wars too. I mean, one of my favorite characters is Captain Kirk. So
and Jar Jar Binks, right?
I'm all about that Star Wars life.
Stop, both of you. Well, that wraps up the leaderboard segment for our show today. If you want to view all of our rankings, you can find them on our site, multiplayerpodcast.com, Patreon, multiplayersquad.com, and all of our socials /multiplayerpod. We're found on all of your podcasting apps, and don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. We would love it. I guess that's it for this show. See you guys Thursday.
Make it so.
You failed me for the last time, Todd.
There, was that better? I was practicing in my head that whole time.
Am C3PO ending the show.
Is he dying? Is his battery running low?
I was gonna say, what? That's the worst. I thought my Vader impression was bad. That's the worst.
I was
3PO
just learning
I've ever
to love.
I snorted.
Oh man. Do R2D2, Todd.
Rest in peace, C3PO.